A new report from the White House says that the country's emergency pandemic economic policies were set up quickly enough to help alleviate financial disruption to American families. But now Congress is at a standstill on the next relief package. And joining us to talk more about this right now is Tyler Goodspeed. He's the acting chairman of the President's Council of Economic Advisors, which put out that new report. And thank you for being here, Tyler. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk through what we know from the initial money that was spent. Obviously, we're hearing it from companies even today. Walmart's CFO saying that the government stimulus definitely had an impact on its shoppers and on the American consumer. What do we know about what was spent? And then I guess the next question is, what happens now?
Right. So one thing that we observed in this report is that the magnitude of the shock that hit us in March and April of this year was truly unprecedented in historic terms. Both in scale and in speed. But also what we found in this report was that the scale, speed, and targeted nature of the U.S. federal government response to that adverse shock was similarly historic. And unlike a lot of other previous federal government responses, this was very targeted. So with programs like the Paycheck Protection Program, we targeted relief to small and medium-sized enterprises that were most vulnerable to adverse cash flow shocks such as this, and also we targeted aid through the economic impact payments and enhanced unemployment insurance benefits to the households that were most at risk. And when we look at recent survey data from the Census Household Pulse Survey, we do see that among the lowest income households, 87% reported that they had used or expected to use those economic impact payments for essential household spending needs.
Hey, Tyler, some of the programs were certainly targeted, but there were others that were not targeted at all. You're shooting with a pretty broad bazooka, and I'm thinking of the $1,200 that went to more than 80% of Americans. I mean, that broad stimulus certainly had an impact, I would guess, on what we've seen in the economy since.
Well, if we dig down even deeper, when we look at just the lowest income households again, over a fifth of those households reported that they had used the economic impact payments or enhanced unemployment insurance benefits in the past 7 days to meet essential spending needs. And I think that's why one thing that we're thinking about here in the White House is we're wondering why there isn't a greater sense of urgency on the Hill to revisit Phase 4 negotiations. If Congress can be recalled to debate additional subsidies for the United States Post Office, we would certainly hope that they could be recalled to debate and vote on areas of broad bipartisan agreement. That includes a second round of economic impact payments, that includes a potential reload of the Paycheck Protection Program, that includes an employee retention and hiring tax credit, and that includes enhanced unemployment insurance benefits for unemployed American workers. So we would just like to see a lot more sense of urgency.
Would you say that nothing that is not essential to that be included? And by that, I would include what Republicans have wanted to see to this point, which is to make sure that liability is removed for corporations. Would you say that that doesn't need to be part of it since there's not bipartisan support on that?
Well, the president would definitely would prefer to see a comprehensive agreement that includes not the removal of liability, but rather limitation of excess liability for businesses when reopening in the context of the COVID pandemic. In the absence of a comprehensive agreement, the president would be willing to pursue a narrower deal that focuses on those areas of bipartisan agreement, including but not limited to enhanced unemployment insurance benefits, economic impact payments. And it's only in the absence of congressional movement on those fronts that the president has already and will continue to explore all mechanisms for executive action.
Hey, Tyler, it's my understanding that the administration and the White House is not necessarily even on the same page as many of the Republican senators who have been looking at this. We're going to be speaking with Tom Cotton in just a little bit coming up. And would the president be, it seems to me like the president wants more than what the Republicans are putting out, but less than what the Democrats are asking for. Is that how you kind of see the situation, too?
So on that question, I would have to refer to my colleagues in the Office of Legislative Affairs. My role here at the Council is to provide economic advice and not to count votes on the Hill.
Okay, then let's talk about what you think is the best plan. What do you think is most important to the economy? What kind of stimulus should be put forth? Are we talking $1 trillion, $2 trillion, $3 trillion?
So I don't think the appropriate term is stimulus. I think that this continues to be a matter of economic relief where necessary. The president has stated, and correctly, that it is important that we continue to provide enhanced unemployment insurance benefits for Americans who have lost employment as a result of this adverse shock, but to do so in a way that doesn't impose unduly high implicit marginal tax rates on the return to work. I think the president is also correct to note that we would definitely prefer an agreement, a comprehensive agreement that includes liability protections for reopening firms. And also, I think that the president is correct to advocate a payroll tax cut to deliver immediate relief to struggling American households by raising after-tax wages.